Hey, it's Mike. We are continuing on with the drivetrain mock-up on our 68 Rambler. It's going not too bad. Usually these things are to be expected. Left off last time with the engine sitting in the engine compartment, mounted up. We got the motor mount secured and the pads. And we were finding out that the bell housing was making contact with the transmission tunnel. So we struggled a little bit with that and determined that there's no way to get tools in there to secure the bell housing once engine's in the car, yada, yada, yada. So y'all ever had the universe drop you a favor so good that it seems suspicious? Well, the same day I was struggling with this bell housing, lo and behold, I find this. An original AMC bell housing for sale within walking distance of my home. So we've got ourselves a little change of plan here. You see the bell housing we started with is an aftermarket steel piece, clearly designed for drag racing or off-road use applications. And we're going to use the original instead. Nice light aluminum piece, and just want to show the differences here a little bit and see pretty clearly why this aftermarket piece here was having some clearance issues with our tunnel. So you can see how this is pretty much flat all the way up. Looks like a top hat. Nice transitions there, much slimmer. We got a little accident here. No big deal. It's nothing structural. We'll have something for that later. But you can see how much more clearance is. You can see where we were hitting on this area before. This has a nice all the way to the back. So, spoiler, I've test fit underneath the car this bell housing, this original one. And if you couldn't guess, you could build a single family home with all the real estate that's there with the correct part. So if this hadn't come into my life at the time that it did, we'd still be using this aftermarket bell housing, which means we'd have to relieve the tunnel a little bit. And when we start doing that, it's probably not a big deal, but anytime we modify that one piece, there's generally a chain reaction of things that go along with it. So you start modifying the tunnel, well then maybe your carpet's not going to work, or something's going to interfere with your gas pedal, and those are just considerations you got to take when you're dealing with aftermarket parts. It's a thing, you just got to deal with it. But this original bell housing is going to work out great, I do believe. Pretty much all my issue I was having finding bolts is pretty much in vain. But I'm not sure what karma has in store for me later. It's probably something very sinister, but I'll take it. I'm going to accept the win today, and we're going to keep going on with the mock-up, and it should go pretty smoothly, I think. We'll get cutting on the tunnel once we locate where the shifter is going to go, and then we'll be moving on from that, building a housing for the shifter on the inside. So, good stuff coming. All right, I've been under the car and got the transmission put in, bell housing, working on the transmission cross member. And I probably should have tested this before I got everything up in the up in the car, but here's another area that we're gonna have a little bit of trouble. This mount doesn't quite fit. You can see the depression here, not quite circle is kind of flat in this area, so we're having some clearance issues there, and it's not giving us a whole lot of room to get both bolts started into the transmission. So I'm gonna go ahead and relieve this radius here a little bit, see if we can get a little bit more space, just so we can get some bolts started. Add a little scribe mark so I know how far I've been. Okay, I'm gonna give it that test fit. Okay, we got a little bit more work to do right here on these corners. You got to flatten those out just a touch. All right, that ought to do it. We'll get that mounted up and see how she does. Okay, taking a trip underneath finally. We'll see what we able to come up with here. Just shed some light on the subject here. So we've got a cross member bolted in. Where this transmission wants to sit naturally is a little bit to the left, but after a bunch of finagling and cussing around, I found that getting the transmission mount on the transmission loosely, first letting the back end down, and then getting the mount on the cross member, and then jacking the assembly up worked much better than trying to get the cross member in first and then trying to match all that up. So as we go along here, you see we've got not a whole lot of room up in that area. That's where our shifter linkage is going to go. This side, for some reason, has loads of space, but I didn't design it. And you can see how much room we've got here between our bell housing and the tunnel. It's real nice. Real nice up in there. So everything fits good. I like it. I like where it's going. I think what I'm going to do here to mark our shifter location is just measure from the back hole, the mounting hole for the shifter, to where it needs to be. Find out what that measurement is on the shifter, and then I'll be able to transfer that measurement up here and get a mark on top. All right, here's a look at our shifter. This is an original AMC 4-speed shifter. This is not the Hurst shifter. What I've got here is just a transfer punch. There's a hole that goes all the way through to the back side, and that alignment hole is our neutral position. That means that these shift arms here are all in the right spot for when we're in a neutral. And what I'm going to do, I'll measure from this hole here to the center. You see how all of this assembly lines right up. And then I'll take that same measurement. We'll go underneath the car. We'll put a little mark on the bottom of the transmission tunnel to see if we can get something we can see. And then we'll get a punch of some kind, see if we can transfer that up through to the inside of the car, find out where that's located. Doesn't have to be a perfect measurement. I'm just gonna measure from the center of the hole here, and we're gonna go with 4 inches. I'm gonna call it 4 and start from there. So once we get our first hole, we'll be able to see a little bit better what we're doing. All right, let's see our mark. I was able to get mark underneath the car, and once I had it marked, I measured from this feature to the mark that I had underneath, which was 8 3/4, and then I came up top here and just transferred that measurement from here to here, and that's going to get us in the ballpark well enough that feel pretty good. We'll just go ahead and drill a little pilot hole, see where we're at. What I've got here is a hole saw that's just big enough for the shifter to get up through, and that's really all I want at this point. So I don't want to get crazy, because I don't know exactly where I need to go yet. Just put a little center mark here and make it happen. Get some light in here. Oh, hey-oh. Whatever, I guess. Just feeling to make sure my drill bit here is not gonna drill into my transmission. Change of plan. We're going to cut away the top here until we can get the shifter down in through the top. There is no way to go the other way. So if we can't go from the bottom, we'll go from the top. So I got to be careful not to come too far this way. Got our mounting. Mark that. The mounting flange for the shifter is, we'll call it right here. Okay. See how much? overhang we have, this is all hangs over the top of the transmission. So if I probably need to measure out here, cut in here a little bit. Well, sounds like it's dinner time. So that's what I'm gonna go do. And we'll come back after a bit. Shove that down in there one more time. Yeah, maybe I gotta get these shift rods off of here and everything else. So, I mean, that'll make it somewhat easier. But for right now, it's time for dinner. Oh God. Always. if we're in neutral here, we're having some trouble because we're hitting our tunnel. We clearly don't have enough throw there, so I think what I need to do is relief. We'll just cut this a little bit, or maybe just this side, because that seems to be full range of motion forward. But if I cut down here, I'll be able to pop this out. We'll shape that and give it some clearance so we can go forward with it. Oops, sorry. Our switch attaches to the back of the shifter, and that comes all the way I don't know if you can see from that angle or not, but we're all the way out to here with the switch. And the switch is too tall to fit underneath the floor, so that's got to be cut out all the way here. Go ahead and give a mark so I can get that at some point. Where am I? Probably sitting on it. Nope, guess I'm not. Oh, here we go. I'll mark the back of the switch. And we'll mark the arms here. Okay, so that's gonna have to get cut out. We'll do something with this. We'll see. I've got a carpet kit on the way, and I think I would like to see how the carpet lays before I get too carried away with how to shape this area. Want to make sure it lays down. If it doesn't, then, you know, of course we'll worry about it then. But for now, we've got our shifter located. There'll be more, we'll massage that tunnel. Okay, another milestone. Checked off the box. Shifter located, that's a pretty big deal. There's some massaging that needs to be done, of course, and there's a little bit more work to do. We'll get the carpet in, see how it lays down, and that'll kind of help advise our strategy there. We'll also be creating a new shifter housing there, so that'll be a fun little job. But this will be it for this one.